Hello, ladies and gentlemen, my name's Stepsbasic, and welcome back to my community show. Nice going, eh? You like that one? It's got the deep, rumbly voice and the ooh. Anyway, that's not important. What's important is today's topic, which is the adventure game type. So, now, if you've been following me long enough, then you know that I'm not necessarily a big fan of the adventure genre. I don't even like to call it a genre because it's a play style, not an actual category. Anyway, that's a look back on my series about what would make a good game, and I'll explain the difference between game type and genre. But anyway, you'll know that I'm not a big fan of the adventure genre. But there is more to that than meets the eye. Now, you look at my channel, you know I've played some for y'all. Recently just did the highlights for The Bunker, very much a point-and-click adventure game. I'm doing Life is Strange Before the Storm still, very much an adventure game, and Life is Strange before that, and I am going to go do Beyond Two Souls next. And as such, I play adventure games. But Stepsbasic, if you don't like adventure games, why do you play? Well, the simple fact of the matter is, the reason why I'm not particularly a fan of adventure titles is simply because adventure titles are movies. They're interactive movies. I know. It's weird. You get to play with them, so they're not really movies, but they're movies. And as such, they have often really good stories to them, which is why I do like them. But at the same time, if I want to watch a movie, I want to watch a movie. I don't want to play a game. And going through the videos with you guys, I think my stance on adventure games is slightly changing. First of all, a history lesson, as it were. Way back when I was but a wee lad, and I actually played games on PC back then, I had King's Quest IV. Heir today, gone tomorrow. I remember a lot about it, but there's some stuff that I don't remember that I'm like, what? Like, I don't remember the main character's name. I just remember that he had a scarf, and he was weird. And the main villain, you end up having to sword fight him in the end. And I love that game. I played that game until I literally had everything down pat. Like, I knew exactly what I had to do when, and I could beat the game in less than a few hours. And I love that game so much because the story, the humor,
By all that's beauteous, fair, and sightly, for morons do I sleep with nightly.
There's nothing there at all,
I say.
And that was a reference to a part in the game when you had to trick the five senses. You had 5 goblins, and each of them had a sense that you had to trick. You had to trick with a rabbit's foot, a piece of mint. Sorry, it was a mint drop, a candy. You had to trick with a candy, and then at the very end you had to pour invisible ink on yourself so you vanished. And that was really fun. How much I love that game just kind of makes me wonder why I ever developed the idea of not liking adventure games. So I sat down and I thought about it for a second. Well, a few minutes. Well, a day. It took me a little while to figure it out. And it comes down to Heavy Rain, which, for those of you who don't know, the developers who gave us Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls, they also gave us Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain was a detective mystery story about a kid and a serial killer. I shall say no more. The thing about that game is I watched my wife play it. I watched my ex-wife play through the whole game. And then when I went back to play it myself, I had absolutely no enjoyment in it. Because I knew everything that was going to happen. I knew the end. I knew the big twist at the end. I knew all the things you needed to do. And at the same time, I just wanted to go from beginning to end. And I was interrupted in the interim with QuickTime events. And that just made the game thoroughly unenjoyable for me. And I would say, quite possibly, put me off adventure titles pretty well. That being said, my first time through on a game, I will enjoy it. Like, just playing the intro to Beyond Two Souls, I really enjoyed it. I've played numerous, like, I've started, as you know, the Game of Thrones, Tales from the Borderlands, Telltale adventure games. And they do the adventure games really well because there is much more of a twist and a change to some things. Well, granted, they generally end up the same way, but you can still define the characters and experience new things throughout. And that's one thing I've always liked about the Telltale series of games. But there was just something about playing through the Heavy Rain after I watched it played through already. I knew everything. That just killed it for me. I just didn't want to play it. And I tried. I made it up to the point in the game where you had to hurt yourself. And as such, it's like I got up to that point and I'm like, well, I know everything is going to happen. Why am I still playing this? And that in a way leads us to a discussion of the good and the bad of Let's Plays. Now, I do tend to mention this at the beginning of my adventure playthroughs, and it's because of the fact that Heavy Rain was destroyed for me, and a few other games I've watched played rather than actually played myself. Like, the enjoyment factor in the game of it all was destroyed for me. Now, at the same time, while watching somebody play the game will spoil the story for me. By the way, I have been avoiding everything to do with Detroit beyond being human, become human? Detroit. I've been avoiding Detroit like the plague. Like, I know Jack has played it, I know Robin has played it, and I love both of their commentary, I love both of their attitudes and just everything, but I will not watch those because I want to enjoy Detroit by myself. And granted, when I do get it, I'm going to be playing it on my channel. But as such, I don't want to ruin it for myself by playing it or watching it anyone else play it. But at the same time, after I've beaten it, I intend to go and watch it. I intend to go watch Jack and Robin play it. Because they bring something different to the table. They bring themselves to the table. Excuse me. And that in and of itself makes it more enjoyable because you get to see a different perspective. Not just your own, like, hey, I understand this. I have determined and deduced everything I need to know about this. But also you get to see Jack and Robin and their take on the whole situation and how it's going to be. And honestly, I can't wait till I get to that point. But I gotta play Beyond Two Souls first. I know technically I don't have to. They're not related in any way, other than by the same designer, programmer, and all that fun stuff. But they're not, like, story-wise related. So I could technically play it without it. But of course I don't have the money to buy it, so might as well play it right until I get the money. But anyway, so as such, has my opinion of adventure games really changed? And that kind of is the question of this video today. Because has it changed? Or am I just getting more relaxed with it? Because, I mean, a lot of people talk about spoilers, and they hate spoilers, and I, for one, don't like spoiling things for other people. But when it comes to things like movies, and you tell me a spoiler for the movie, I generally don't have much of a reaction, like, oh, neat. Because in a lot of cases, I'm going to see it through my own eyes and my own interpretation, and it might be completely different from what you saw, or, like, you may have experienced. And, and that's probably what killed Heavy Rain for me, was because I sat and I watched it and I interpreted it for myself. So I was basically just sitting through it again and just interpreting the exact same thing over again, even though it was my ex-wife who was playing it at the time, not me. She was making choices I may not have made. We weren't having like an open discussion commentary session about it. So I was still interpreting everything in my own way, and when I got to the points, I still interpreted everything in the exact same way. Made a few different choices, was a little bit quicker on some things than she was, Because, that's me. I'm a bad video gamer. Anyway. So, have I changed? Or am I just letting go of a grudge? Well, I mean, that is a perfectly plausible examination there. I don't generally make grudges, but when I do have them, I hold them. I hold grudges like nobody's business. Like, I still hate Xbox because they made an insulting comment towards the military. And because of that, I still hate Xbox. Not players of the Xbox, not developers who put their stuff on the Xbox, but the company and Microsoft that run the Xbox PR people. And as such, I won't ever give Xbox my money. I'll give Microsoft my money, but mostly because I don't really have much of a choice. I mean, I do, technically, blah, 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 rehashing old things. But like I said, grudges are hard for me to break. But honestly, sometimes all it takes to break a grudge is additional information. And as such, I could very well see myself finally letting go of a grudge. But anyway, ramble, little defogging of the brain video here for you today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And if you have any other comments about certain genres like that you particularly don't like, or have any other perspectives, feel free to share those. I like to read them and I like to hear about what everyone else thinks. But anyway, apart from that, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please go ahead and poke that like button for me if you'd like to. Of course, you can comment down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can, when I can, if I can. You know all that jazz. And tune in next time as we talk about something else. And until then, good night.